Welcome to Java, and thank you very kindly for joining me. It's July 14th, 2025, and it is also Monday. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. I ended up spending a bit more time in airports than I had intended. There was quite a few weather-related delays, and so I would just like to shout out and thank our local weather manipulators because couldn't have possibly happened without you. So just wanted you to know that I'm thinking about you. So, at any rate, I am back. There was the mining symposium that went on in Boca Raton, Florida. I didn't get to go, but it sounded like it was wonderful. It's Rick Rolls talking about, for the most part, precious metals mining. And Pico's trading desk was there. I think they did a video on that. I'll try and leave the link to it because it sounds like it was wonderful. I'm hoping to hear from him later. At any rate, I am back so I can answer all of these compelling questions you've been holding on to, such as, am I too late? Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And also, we've got a major statement coming out. So, the other thing is Bitcoin. I leave for a couple of days. What did you do? My goodness, let's get into the markets as always. So this morning we're looking at fear greed meters at 75, still an extreme greed. However, today down a bit in the markets. And we're looking at kind of a mixer, as it says. We've got a lot of things going on. The markets are very uncertain. So that's kind of driving it, is this uncertainty, probably more volatility this week than last week, which was kind of range bound. So with this, we've got the 10-year yield looks like it is rising a bit. It's 4.428 and gaining. This means it's a bit of sell-off in the debt market. Not sharp at the moment, but we are going to be heading up towards those resistance levels. We've got the relative strength of the dollar is up against the other currencies, but overall still losing a fair amount of strength, even though it's lost a good amount prior to this. So we are seeing this in asset prices. We've got Bitcoin cryptocurrencies hit a new record high, 122,000. I believe it did get a little higher than this prior to it pulling back. It's pulling up all of the other cryptocurrencies with it. Rising tide floats all ships is the saying. So, with that, today the mining stocks for cryptocurrencies probably do really well. There is news on this. We kind of knew about this coming, and we did discuss this a little bit in our Discord last Wednesday. I've got somebody in there quite sharp on all of this. One of these days, I'll drag him in and have him speak with us. So, as it stands so far in the United States, opening is looking weak for the stock market. Now, equities down, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. Volatility increasing. Gold having a good day already, and silver also made a very nice run over the weekend as far as valuations at that $39 level. It's at resistance, so we're waiting to see if it can break above the 40 and hold. We'll see. We've got crude oil also in some news. Has to do with announcement from President Trump and a couple of other things going on. So let's get into the specifics. Now, he said he was going to make a major statement on Russia today. So anything I talk about today could be immediately wiped out by any post from him, either on Truth Social or if he comes out and makes whatever major, minor statement, mining statement, major statement, whatever statement he states. And that could really throw the markets either direction, especially if it has anything to do with replacing Jay Powell. Could really shake these markets. So, a couple of other things he said, and one of them is that if they impose tariffs, retaliatory tariffs, he's going to take whatever tariffs they impose and raise it 30% higher. Now, he also sent out letters, more letters over this weekend, mostly targeting Mexico and Canada. So, with this, there's all kinds of talk about the cost of Mexican tomatoes and Canadian imports for the United States. These are all going to be going up, and it is causing a bit of market distortions. And I'll go over that in just a bit. Now, one of these is shown in this US Treasury reports of a surprise surplus. They're surprised. You know, they're the Treasury, surprised by everything. They're not surprised by anything. They're manipulating all of this. So this was all due to the tariffs, how they placed the timing of their assets. Not just that, but also what they have caused in the front running with all of this. Now, a lot of this are on the fees that they're talking about bringing in. So this is an example right here. China's exporters rushing to beat this next large tariff deadline. So we've got still more deadlines. They extended the largest one right now is August 1st. So a couple of weeks. We should expect we are getting GDP, the next GDP numbers I expect to be a little bit distorted from this. It's not linked to the real economy because no energy just goes without a balance. So the balance to this energy is going to be when all of these companies, corporations have stocked up and they don't need to buy for a while. They're going to hold on, and that's going to cause a shock on the other side. So they are also reporting inflation numbers. We're expecting this week, CPI, PPI. Now, there are a little bit more, in my opinion, accurate measures of inflation. Chapwood Index is one of those. If you would like to look them up, they've got quite a good resource there. Now, speaking of the calendar, today's Monday. So as far as the calendar today is nothing, or as they would say, Chevy Chase would say, nada, which is, he thinks it's a light chicken gravy. So we've got earnings and inflation coming up. Tuesday, CPI, core inflation. Wednesday, PPI, which is producer inflation, what corporations are paying, and that they're going to pass on to you later. Core inflation is what you're paying now. So we'll be looking at all of these forward. We're also starting earnings, having bank earnings coming out. They're doing quite well, of course. And then also retail sales. So all of this coming out this week, that's what's going to be affecting what is going on. So inflation, huge numbers, because the market has already priced in cuts from the Federal Reserve. So the short summary in one line is that if inflation is significantly hot or high, then the market will kind of flip out because they'll think that the Fed will not cut rates. So that should tank the market sufficiently if these numbers are too high. Now, a few specifics. I've got the market minutes here. Tesla, XAI, which is artificial intelligence grok, and SpaceX, if there could be a merger. Now, I just spoke about this, I think it was a week and a half ago. Now, Chamath is also saying about this because it follows for a link for these companies to be brought together. Now, he left out one, the Boring Company. They bore large holes, in short, under the earth for these tunnels for closed end transport is the guise of it, but there's a lot more going on here. And I kind of touched on how these link together and moving forward, in particular with XAI. He wants it Twitter to be, or formerly Twitter, it's now X, to be the internet of everything, including your money. So that's quite big news, but I've got to compress this and move on. So with all of this going on, we've had China's credit expansion. So what does that mean? Accelerated more than expected in June means they had to borrow more. So they're charging up the credit cards and they're having very difficult issues with this. So they sent out more IOUs, sold more IOUs loans. They call them bonds, government bonds, to get out to the market. So this is an issue going forward. We're going to keep an eye on these things because they could really throw things. Now, GM, STLAF, this is General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford. They're all tanking this morning because of the tariffs. Accenture and Microsoft are partnering on an artificial intelligence-driven cybersecurity, so expect movement on this. Bitcoin hitting 120,000. This is big news in cryptocurrency because they're looking at the Clarity Act, Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, so look for that to be anything but. and the Genius Act. They're looking to pass all of these this week. So that's going to create some movement. Now, we all know and love Peter Schiff. If you don't, he's a gold bug. So he is saying, sell your Bitcoin now that it's high and buy silver, which is surprising. He normally endorses gold, but even he is talking silver, looking at a squeeze coming up. Now, a couple of other things that seem unrelated, but talking about mining and in specific rare earth materials. Lockheed Martin is now in talks over historic seabed mining rights. Now, the seabed minerals are, for the most part, these rare earths. Okay, now this was from last week. The Pentagon striking a deal with the United States critical minerals producer, saying this unusual agreement is after concern of Chinese dominance of crucial weapons materials. So, yeah, rare earth for weapons. They don't really care about solar panels or green or saving the earth. They really don't. Okay, Circle. So these, I want to bring it back to your attention because I believe Circle is one of the main Tether coming in stable coins that will be replacing fiat currency in function, at least, if not more. Now, in case you are worried about your job going to artificial intelligence, this guy, Mark Benioff, he is the CEO of Salesforce, one of the highest net worth individuals in the world, saying, don't worry, white collar workforce, you won't be wiped out. You're just going to be cut down significantly. So, yeah, don't run. We're your friends. This one, by the way, is Mark Benioff. So we've got a couple of last things. Ukraine spy chief saying that 40% of Russian ammunition is North Korean. So this could be propaganda. However, we do know North Korea is supplying Russia, and there is more tensions happening in the Asian Sea. I've been talking about this. Now Russia is warning the United States, South Korea, and Japan against forming some kind of security alliance that would target North Korea. So they're buddying up. And there's a bit more trade going on. There's other things going on in the background, but just want to bring this up to you. And the last thing, okay, German president is now calling for universal military conscription. So if they make it compulsory that you have to serve in the military, we all know how that goes. So they've already got the laws are in the background in place. All they would have to do, in short, is reinstate them. And if they wanted to include women or expand it, they would have to do some minor modifications. So, yeah, that's my response to that. So, with all of this, wish you a wonderful Monday. If you're trading, wish you a green day. And until I see you again, my friends, I've missed you. So until I see you again, resist.